two men. One has everything. He's got the looks, he's got the career, he's pretty much the best option on paper. The other one doesn't have any of that, but still women find him attractive. Why? Let's talk about this why, because this is something that actually happened to me. When I was in my early 20s, I was studying in France and I had a crush on a girl. She was part of my university. I got her contact, we texted, and I ended up going to a party that she invited me to. And at that party, she completely lost interest in me. Long story short, she lost interest in me. We ended up going to a nightclub, and on the way there, a guy shows up that she knew that on paper should not have been winning against me. I was studying law, I was training all the time, I was in decent shape. I was the better option on paper. But this guy was charismatic, he was friendly, he was kind, and he made moves. And 10 minutes after coming to that nightclub, I saw them make out, and that shattered my reality. So that's exactly the scenario that I talked about initially, and we're going to understand what makes women choose one option over the other and how you can become that option. And look, for me back then, it really seemed like she chose the bum loser guy over me, the law student with bodybuilding hobby, right? That's what I was thinking back then. The reality is that human beings value certain things. There is no such thing as a high value man that is universally high value, because every human being values different things. And if you don't believe me because you've seen 1 million people tell you about how important it is to be high value, just think about this for a moment. I'll give you two examples to make this very easy to see. If you like sports cars, I'm pretty sure you know somebody who doesn't care about cars at all. They just don't value it the same as you. Or maybe it's the other way around. You don't care about cars, but you know somebody who would give their right arm to own a Ferrari. You value that car in different manners. But I'll give you a more universal example. Imagine you're in the desert. You've been there for 2 days. It's been more than 24 hours that you've run out of water. Now I show up and I offer you a bottle of water, clean water. But what do I want for it? I want all your money. Everything you have. And you know if you don't drink this water, you're going to die. Now, does this water hold more value to you than a bottle of water does right now, the bottle of water that's in your kitchen? What holds more value? The same thing can have completely different value, not just to different people, but also to the same person at a different point in time. So different women value different things, and even the same woman can value the same thing in a different way at a different point in her life. So chasing a universal definition of high value is basically playing the wrong game. Now, before going into what you should be doing when you're thinking about, I want to be higher value, and we'll talk about this in a moment, let's talk about what women actually assess. Because women don't just assess where you're at. And people in general don't just look at other people and think of them in terms of where that person is at. Instead, we look at people in terms of potential. Where could that person be a few years down the line? Where can I go if I associate myself with that person? So this question of who you are is not just who you are in the moment, but also what path you're on. That is why I talk so much about identity, about becoming a person with a strong identity, a strong personality, and being on your path, your mission, and having a purpose. And the reality is this: a man that is very grounded, has a high level of self-respect, is on his path, mission, and has a purpose, that man is very likely to have a lot more potential than somebody who's not, because that man is going somewhere. That man is going to be further ahead compared to where he's at now, just a few years down the line. So that man is inherently going to be more interesting and more attractive. And that is the fundamental of why even a bum, potentially even a homeless person, can outcompete a lawyer. Now, of course, I'm dramatizing this just to give you an example, right? But this is the fundamental of what you should understand. You should constantly be working towards becoming a better man, towards growing, better understand who you are, better understand where you're going, and actually working towards that. That is why I'm talking about this so much, even though it doesn't seem to be directly related to dating. So what do women actually care about? The reason we think of this high value stuff, when you look at videos on YouTube, men in this manosphere world, it's always about having more muscles, having more money, and having nicer cars. Why? Because in a way, that's how us men assess each other. That's what we think is cool. So by association, we think, oh, that's also what women think is cool. But the reality is that women assess you completely differently. They assess you based on your behavior. Because what matters to women, if you look at it from a biological perspective, is that you're trustworthy, reliable, that you can potentially provide for them, that you have good genetics, that your offspring are going to be healthy and survive. And if you really break it down to that, they will maybe use your wealth as an indicator for that, but it is just one of a large number of indicators. And these indicators will signal to her whether or not she can rely on you and whether or not inherently she's going to be interested in you. Now, of course, there's a rare exception of women, we call them gold diggers, right, who are only interested in money. But I would argue that that's probably less than 1% of women that really just care about your money. That is the absolute minority of women. Now, let me clarify one more thing. It doesn't matter what your real values are. It doesn't matter whether you are a hardworking, trustworthy, reliable man. What matters is what people perceive from you. Your perceived behavior matters, not your actual behavior. So you might be the best person. If you're not able to communicate that and showcase that, then it doesn't matter. Unfortunately, that's how it is. It only matters what people can perceive from you. And that's unfortunately exactly where a lot of men fuck it up. Because a lot of high status men that are very successful by male statistics, have very low value communication patterns because they communicate in a way that indicates, that showcases a behavior that does the opposite of what women want. If your communication communicates the wrong thing, you might be up here, but you communicate that you're down there. While in reality, you should be doing the opposite. You should almost, like in marketing, communicate yourself in a better way, make yourself look better, but instead most people make themselves look a little bit worse or even a lot worse. So the foundation that you want to build is a character where women just sense from the moment they see you, from the moment they perceive you, that you're a strong, reliable, quote unquote masculine man. And I've actually made a longer video on this here on the topic of self-reliance. If you become somebody with strong self-reliance, you will inherently become more confident. You will start projecting this. Once you cultivate these traits, you will start to actually live them. You will start to become that person. You will have a personality that is rooted in yourself, in your character, in your identity, and in your values. You will portray that, and people will be able to feel that of you from the moment you walk into a room. You will not have to say anything. You will not have to impress them. It's simply part of who you are, and other people are able to feel that. And I'm sure you've met people like this where just looking at them, you know, they don't need to tell you. You just know that they are reliable, trustworthy, strong individuals. And funny enough, that is what we usually call a real man. It's not the guy with the Ferrari. It's the guy who's saving your ass when you're in a burning house. Some of these guys, you see them in a day-to-day setting and you immediately know, okay, that's a real man, right? That's what women will say. That's also what other men will say. Now, there's one problem with this. Self-reliance alone, building a strong character, building a reliable foundation, that's not enough. Because a hermit can also have a strong personality. He lives in his cabin, he's by himself, retreated, he's very happy, very self-centered. If you walk up there and tell him that you hate him, he won't care. He might not even care about women, but that's simply not enough. You need something else. You need the ability to become not just a strong, independent man, you also need to become a safe adventure for her. I talk about this all the time because I believe that's really how you can see it. You have to be like the stone that she can rely on. It's always strong, like her rock. You, her rock, that she can be emotional. She can be a woman around you, but at the same time, you also need to be a bit of an adventure. There needs to be a bit of uncertainty. There needs to be a little bit something unexpected happening. It needs to be fun and a little bit exciting to be around you. The rare combination of these two characteristics is what makes a man magnetic. If you're grounded enough to make her feel safe, but you're also exciting enough to make her feel alive, that's where magic happens. And just to leave you with an image on your mind, if you're just safe, you're basically like a wall. If you're just fun, you're just chaos. And yes, some women might like one or the other, but the vast majority want both. They want the safe adventure. They want the man who's giving them safety and making them feel alive at the same time. So if I could go back to my younger self and tell him just one thing, it would not be to work harder, to get better at telling other people about how hard I work and how cool I am. No, it would be to become that safe adventure that she can let herself fall into. And yes, I would also tell him to keep working on himself, to keep becoming a better person, to build a stronger personality and identity. But I would really want him to become somebody that other people genuinely enjoy being around, because I believe that is what makes exceptional human beings. If other people love your presence, if other people love having you around. I'm going to leave you on this note. If you want help with any of the things I talked about in this video, there's a link to my Calendly down below. Click the link, let's hop on a call, let's see if I can help you. Thanks for watching. If you're not subscribed, hit the notification bell because it helps the channel. I love seeing the notification bells just because my channel is still so small. And I'll see you in one of my next videos.